morning. My name is Amalia Deligiannis, and I am the editor of Plumbing Engineer magazine. Welcome to our Off the Cuff podcast series, where we have conversations with individuals within the plumbing industry. Joining me today is Tom Brown, chairman of the board of Plumbing Engineer. And we are going to take a little look back at Plumbing Engineer's history and his involvement with the magazine since in 2023, this year, we are celebrating 50 years. That's right, 50 years. Welcome, Tom.
Amalia, good morning. It's great to be here. It's great to be with you. One of my passions is discussing plumbing and Plumbing Engineer magazine because it was the first magazine that I ever owned. And it's kind of my baby, and I can't believe it's going to be 50 years old. So let's move on with it.
Sounds great. So you were actually named publisher of Plumbing Engineer in 1984. Can you tell us about your involvement with the magazine early on?
Yes, I was named publisher in 1984, and at that point in time I was working for an outfit called Scott Periodicals, owned by a wonderful gentleman by the name of Ed Scott, and worked for another guy, wonderful guy, Bill Peel. But we had Domestic Engineering, which was a contracting magazine, the Wholesaler magazine, which was a wholesale distribution magazine, and to fill out our market offings, we had the opportunity of buying Plumbing Engineer from a West Coast publisher, Miramar Publishing, and decided to move ahead with it. Ed did that because he was the owner of the company. Bill was a shareholder, as I was a shareholder. Very, very minor shareholder. But that was kind of how it started. That got us going. That's when we got involved officially with Plumbing Engineer.
So for how long did you work as publisher before you decided to purchase the magazine?
Let's see. The year that we bought the magazine was 84.
So with Scott Publishing, okay.
84, and then I bought the magazine in July of 1990. And first issue that I published on my own was the July-August issue of 1990.
Wow. And why did you decide to buy the publication on your own?
It was offered to me because the magazines, Ed sold the magazines to Elsevier Publishing. I went with the deal. I was publisher of Plumbing Engineer and Domestic Engineering. And Elsevier was not, it wasn't a marriage made in heaven. At any rate, they wanted to sell Plumbing Engineer magazine because it was too small. It wouldn't support its overhead within their organization. And so they offered to sell it to me, and I decided to buy it. And it was a very fortuitous set of events that occurred and got me out on my own. So I was very, very fortunate.
Oh, wow. So when Plumbing Engineer became your baby, or even beforehand, could you talk a little bit about how the magazine evolved in those days in terms of style and content?
Sure. The magazine was originally started up by Miramar as at the request of the American Society of Plumbing Engineers because they wanted their own magazine. And they Miramar felt there was a niche for it in the plumbing market and for advertising sales. So they started it up and published it. It was published originally, I think, quarterly, and then they moved the publication, the number of issues up to 6 issues, and but they did not have a dedicated editor. They just used the Miramar editorial staff to put together the magazine, relied on ASPE for some content, and that's kind of what they did. It was a nice magazine in those days, but wasn't, I'm not trying to be critical, but it wasn't terribly professional. So when we, under Ed Scott, When we bought it, we hired an editor and had a dedicated editor for the magazine. And we also increased the number of issues. We went from 6 issues to 9 issues. And the editor we hired was Dave Hanks, and he did a very, very good job of segmenting the magazine, making it look a lot more professional. The content was a lot better because of his dedication to the magazine. And just overall, we improved the publication greatly.
Okay, so, and once you officially purchased the Plumbing Engineer from 1990, how did Scott decide to sell Plumbing Engineer to you specifically?
Well, it wasn't Scott, it was Elsevier.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
Okay, so
They decided to sell it. I was fortunate. I had a family that supported me on going off on my own because I was 51 years old, so I was not young. I had to put my own money up to purchase the magazine. And I was also fortunate. I had a friend who was a banker who loaned me money, and that helped a great deal too. And I had a very, very supportive family, and my wife was very, very encouraging and totally supportive and loved the idea of me going out on my own and having our own family business.
Well, I think she pushed you in the right direction.
I agree totally.
Can you talk a little bit about your early days as an independent when you ran Plumbing Engineer with just one editor?
Yeah, the early days were a lot of fun. We had, I knew all the accounts who advertised. We had commitments from them. When I was in the midst of purchasing the magazine, a number of them said that if I would buy the magazine, they would support me, and they did, which took a lot of risk out of the endeavor. And there were just 2 of us working on the magazine, and I had a rep on the West Coast, Diane Spangler, who helped a great deal. And so, it was small, and I learned to do a lot of things that I, in business, never had to do. And so it was a learning process. There was always a lot going on, and it was a lot of fun, to be very honest with you. I enjoyed it.
So what are you most proud of, like in terms of how the magazine has evolved over the years? Like what do you consider like the achievements of Plumbing Engineer magazine?
Well, we made it a very successful commercial venture, and I, being in sales and management, being in those 2 sides of the business, and that's kind of how I came up into publishing. The commercial side was very, very important to me, and one very significant, in 1990, right after I bought the magazine, ASPE had a convention in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we had a convention issue for that convention and for ASPE, and we were able to sell 86 advertising pages in that issue, and that was a significant achievement and a significant financial success, and it got us into the black right away, and we were able to pay our debt down very quickly, and that was quite significant. Overall, we increased the frequency of the magazine to a monthly issue. We, I think, improved it a great deal and took great pride in serving the plumbing engineering industry. And we supported ASPE to a great deal in those days, too, to a great extent. Yeah.
Wonderful. And an interesting little tidbit about Plumbing Engineer is that it's still being printed you can actually get a magazine sent to your house.
You can.
Your business.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of other publications have decided to go strictly online.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to stay a print magazine?
Well, Amalia, what we did and what we have done over the years is we do a lot of survey work on how our readers like to get their news, new product information, technology, all the things that are involved in Plumbing Engineering Magazine. And survey after survey indicates that a very, very high, like 88% of the people who read the magazine and are qualified readers want to receive the magazine in print. The ones that want to receive it online, we have that option for them also. So we go to the reader the way the reader wants to receive the magazine. And most of them indicate they want to get it in print. We have built a publishing business plan around printing magazines, and we've been successful at doing that. And I think we will be printing magazines for quite a while.
Great, that's good. So you've been involved with the magazine for about 45 years.
Yes.
Before you retired.
Yes.
In 2011, I believe is correct.
Yes.
Since then, how have you maintained your involvement with the magazine?
Well, when I get a idea, a thought, I will, call one of the shareholders or bug my daughter Kate about a brilliant idea I've come up with, and and in most cases she'll listen, and in some cases some of the ideas actually come to fruition. But seriously, I stay in contact with a lot of people from the industry and enjoy it, and so. Through networking and so forth, come up with some ideas, and always willing to share them with Kate and the other shareholders of the magazine. So that's kind of the way it works.
So I don't know if you said this or not, but Kate happens to be Tom's daughter. So Plumbing Engineer Magazine, PHCPPros overall, is a family business. And two daughters are involved in the magazine and in the publishing company. So how did you decide to get your girls involved?
Well, I think both were interested in the publishing business, and kind of put their hands up to come in. And I said, great, come on in, but you got to perform. And, you've got to be your activities have to be on the plus side of the business, and I've been very thankful that that's been the case with both. So we're very fortunate to have family involved.
Okay. What do you think has been your proudest moment in plumbing engineering history?
Proudest moment? Well, there have been many, but just knowing that the company has been in business for 33 years. We'll be in our 33rd year, and that's a significant achievement. We're family owned. We're privately held. That in itself is I'd say a large achievement. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of all the people who have worked for us and continue to work for us, and we're very proud to be involved with the plumbing, heating, PVF industry and serve the industry and serve them in a positive fashion for as many years as we have. And as a legacy, I would like to see that commitment to the industry move forward and be a contributor to the industry for many years to come.
Okay. And what do you think is so unique about Plumbing Engineer Magazine? What makes it stand apart from all the other trade publications, in your opinion?
Well, the engineering field of magazines. There were probably, there was Consulting Engineer, Actual Specifying Engineer, and a magazine called Heating, Piping, and Air Conditioning. And all three of those magazines served HVAC, electrical, mechanical. They served the whole engineering spectrum. Where Plumbing Engineer magazine serves the niche of plumbing engineering. In other words, the guy that is doing the design and spec work on the plumbing systems in commercial, industrial, institutional, and large residential projects. And it's a specific niche within the engineering field. And that's the niche that Plumbing Engineer originally served and still serves. So we're we're focused. And that's the very significant part of why we've been successful. And we don't try to serve everybody, but we do serve the plumbing engineer, and we do it quite well.
Speaking about serving everybody, for those of you that do not know, Plumbing Engineer is not Tom's only publication. He also owns the Wholesaler magazine and PHC News. Talk a little bit about those two publications and how they tie in with your concept and why you decided to have all three.
Well, when I worked for Ed Scott, he had magazines in a magazine in the contracting field, a magazine in the wholesale distribution field, and then when we bought Plumbing Engineer magazine in the serving the engineering segment. So when I went off on my own, I wanted to duplicate that. Build a company that duplicated what Ed had done. And because I knew the business, knew how to operate it, and felt I could run something like that. So 2 years after I bought Plumbing Engineer, Wholesaler became available through the same owner. It was Elsevier, the Dutch publishing company, and I bought that in November of, it was either October or November of '92. And that was risky because the magazine had really been run down and had not been managed well by Elsevier because they owned Supply House Times at the same time. So I got a hold of it, and we ran it very financially. We had really kept the reins on it, and we were able to build the revenue up by aggressive sales and marketing, and redeveloped the Wholesaler into a leading magazine in the field. And then a couple years after that, we saw an opening in the contracting field because the old domestic engineering had been folded. And so we saw an opening and started up PHC News, and that has become the leading magazine in the contracting field. So, it was, the company has evolved into a company like Scott Periodicals, like the company Ed had. I kind of duplicated what he did. And that was my business plan and the idea that I had. And we were able to, it came to fruition, so we were very fortunate.
Okay, and how do you think, what do you attribute to your success?
Well, it's the old story of, it's the American way. You risk and you work hard, you develop something, you reap the rewards. And we were able to do that. But it was a lot of hard work. I enjoyed I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed being involved in the industry. And so work was, I didn't toil. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. And enjoyed all of my relationships with customers, mm-hmm. With the readers and suppliers, and with our staff. It was really a labor of love, and I was one of those fortunate people. I worked a lot, I enjoyed it, and it I didn't never, the money was, we weren't money oriented, we were service oriented.
Okay.
And then the money, we did pretty well. So, but that was good. So.
Yeah, that's great. So you had, like on an off conversation once, mentioned that you considered plumbing engineer, the wholesaler, PHC News, kind of like a three-legged stool.
Yes.
I love that. Can you explain what that means?
Right. Well, in the mechanical systems market, we liken it to a three-legged stool. You, from the standpoint of when you are marketing and selling products into the mechanical systems market, first off, you have to get first off, you have to have a good sales group or a sales representatives who work for you. And then those people go out and they contact the engineer who has to specify the product. So you need to get your product specified. So plumbing engineer covers that end of the market. And then to get the product sold and installed, you need to call on the contracting end of the market. And PHC News covers that side of the market, so that's the second leg of the stool. And then you have to have good distribution, and the wholesaler magazine is the third leg of the stool. But if you look at it, we cover all of those. You can buy one or you can buy all, but all three of those legs are very, very necessary to support the industry. And we have magazines covering all of those legs. So that's how we came up with this idea of the three-legged stool.
Okay. I think that was my last question. As we conclude our conversation today, is there anything you'd like our viewers to know about PHCPPros that they may not know about? Or is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I want you to know that we're dedicated to you folks who are readers of our magazines, and we're dedicated to all the manufacturers who sell product into the industry, and we're there for you. And those are the reasons why we exist. So we want to keep them going and keep the magazines going and enjoy our work while we're doing it.
That's wonderful. Well, congratulations on Plumbing Engineers' impending 50th anniversary celebration, and I look forward to another 50 years.
Well, thank you, Amalia, and I look forward to it too.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.